There we go. Whew, hard in here. Right. I think everybody can hear me. Yes, we are live on Facebook. Yay! Oh, wow. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We have got a brilliant guest, fantastic woman who is doing some absolutely amazing work within the Leeds and other areas. So without further ado, please welcome my guest, Heather Nelson.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me, Lesleye.
I so appreciate it, Heather. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wow! I was just going through your bio and I'm thinking, what? How have you done all this absolutely amazing work? It really is. So let me just tell the audience a little bit about yourself. So Heather, she was born in Leeds, left school, went to college with an aim to succeed. When people told her, you can't do that, she worked even harder to show them, yes, I can. Heather has worked for Leeds Black Elders, for Leeds Black Elders.
No, I'm working for Black Health Initiative now.
Sorry, I'm going to come to that bit. You worked with Leeds Black Elders.
Yeah.
You're a CEO at Black Health Initiatives, working with disadvantaged communities, so they can have a voice to change the different policies, what they're holding at the moment. And also Leeds Magistrate. I mean, that is just amazing. And only a few black magistrates. I mean, fantastic, because I don't know any black, well, I do now. Heather Nelson is a black magistrate. How fantastic is that? Heather is also a chief executive of a regional charity that has a national development oh wow, the list just goes on and on. She's created the Legacy Award. You also do the Black Music Festival. Heather, wow, you've just done absolutely so much work. I just want you just to give us a little bit of your work.
Wow, a little bit of my work. My work is so diverse that as much as I feel like I've been doing it for ages, it feels like a new job each time, because we kind of connect different things to make up what we do. And I say we because as much as people see it as Heather, it's actually a team of different people, some really good individuals who share my drive and my vision. So BHI, I went there when it was BCAT, Black Community AIDS Team, and it was failing. And I just thought, God, this is an ideal opportunity to rebrand it and to move forward. What could you rebrand it? Well, let's look. Black health is on the decrease. So let's have it as a black charity. So we renamed it, rebranded it. And now we work looking at inequalities in education, health and social care. It's the cause in Leeds, but it's got a ripple effect. We get asked to work in different regions and also sit nationally on different task force.
Wow, just fantastic. I just think you are an absolutely brilliant role model for so many of us. Do you see yourself as a role model?
No, I never have done. For me, it was always doing what I think was best. And it's only the past few years that people have come to me and either asked to be mentored or coached, or I've been asked to represent. And my aim isn't to be a role model, but to be a real model. meaning it's real, it can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and if that helps other particular Black women, then I'm happy for that, because I just think we have so much opportunity, but then we don't see our value and the jewel within us as Black women.
Wow. Well, you know what, Heather, for me, you definitely inspired me. You know, I definitely look up to you, because I think, you know, and I didn't know all this on your bio, but before this, you know, I just thought you're an amazing woman who's doing absolutely brilliant work within the community, and it's just fantastic. You know, so I just want to know a little bit about Heather. You know, how did you get there? You know, what is your motivation to keep you going? Sorry, that was 2 questions there.
I'm laughing because I could say some things, and I know it sounds very cliche, but I posted something on my Instagram not so long ago, which is your hate is my fuel. Wow. So the negativity that's come my way as I've started to climb, that's been my driving force. Excellent. Now, how did I start? I think my start actually came from my grandfather, who was a very, oh my gosh, Lesleye, he was a 6'3", dark beyond belief. You know, we Black people say blick. Yeah. He was blick, right? And he was one of the first Black bishops. And as a Black man that came over in the Windrush era, and he was developing, you know, the faith community, he came across so many barriers and challenges that he overcame them. And bear in mind, this man was a father of 12, right? So he was busy traveling, but he was instilling within my mum and her siblings that positivity. Yeah. So it was him. But if I go further back, we have an ancestry of the Maroons. Now, I don't know how many people know about the Jamaican Maroons, right? But I just tell them to go find your history, go look in history books and find out about Nane Maroon and all the rest of them. They're fighters. So it's like, no wonder I get driven by those who say I can't do something, because I'm going to fight to win and show you, well, actually, I can, if I want to. So, you know, I suppose that's how I got started, and that's what drives me. No, that's fantastic. So, you know, what was your school life like at school and college? How was that? Not good. No. not good, because I was not a good pupil. Oh gosh, my mum tried her best to send me to good schools. So I went to Roundhay Primary, that then got called Lovell Park. That's how old I am. And then when how young we are, we're young. How young we are. Yeah. And then I went to St. Matthew's. It had only just been built, and there was only 3 Black children in the whole of that school. Wow. And I won't name them because I'm sure the people will know who they are, but it was such a, I'd just say that the racism there, now when I look back on it, it's amazing that we as the Black pupils that were there were traumatized. Yeah. You know, there was silly little things that were said, but actually, now you're older, you know that couldn't be said anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So I was always in the headmaster's corridor and in the office because I was always fighting. And if those of you who know Black parents, when you get told off for fighting, by the time you got home, you've got another set of licks for fighting in school. So that was my middle school experience. And then I went to Roundhay, and Roundhay again was a different experience because it was initially an all boys grammar school. Then it got changed into a comprehensive. And I remember the head teacher, Mr. Glover, he didn't like the fact that it became a comprehensive and all these Black people were coming to the school. Wow. And we even had, I remember one teacher, I had my hair in braids with beads at the end, and I was running down the corridor, and this sticks in my mind, Mr. Hemingway, and he said to me, "Where are you going with that jungle bunny hairstyle?" And I was like, rah, because I was proud. They even had the colours of the school uniform, these beads. And then I think it was like a couple of years later, Bo Derrick had a hair in beads, and everybody was going, "Wow, look how she's bringing out this hairstyle." I'm thinking, we had that from time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, you don't look back, you don't see it then. You just see it as, you know, that teacher's just, as I would say, full of it. But now all those things were things that held you back or could have had a negative impact on your subconscious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I know it's definitely had a negative being at school for me, being dyslexic and not knowing that I was dyslexic. And the teachers all, you know, don't bother with her, she's not going to get it. And so, yeah, I left school, you know, with doing art. I was very good at art. I was very creative with colour. But apart from that, maths and English, you know, I was rubbish.
Well, I'll give you a little story about my maths experience. And those people who know me, I tell this story all the time. It was in Rounder Primary, well, Lovell Park. And there was a math teacher called Mr. Mackey. And he just said to me, well, you might as well sit at the back, Heather Nelson, because you're never going to get it, right? So I sat at the back. I was happy. I sat at the back. And one time he asked me some really basic maths, and I'm not going to say what it was. And I got it wrong. And he threw the board from at me. But the funny thing is for me was that all the dust from the chalk stuck in my hair because, you know, your hair had been greased and applied for the week. So I had a big streak of white chalk in my hair. You just have to laugh.
Wow. Yeah, you laugh now. Sorry, you laugh. But now, things like that can't happen.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Not at all, because that's not nice. That's not nice at all. But yeah, so let me ask you, let me just move forward a little bit. So from school, college, you've always wanted to succeed. You've always wanted to strive, to move forward. And so now you said your granddad was your motivation, who's, you know, inspired you to do more. So what is your purpose? No, sorry, before we get to that question, let me just ask you this question. What gave you the drive to be a magistrate?
Wow. I've always been somebody who has an opinion and never been shy to share that opinion. Yeah. And there was this man he was one of the group who first developed Jamaica House, and his name was Travis Johnson.
I know Travis.
Remember Travis? Right. Yeah. And one time we were talking about something, and he looked at me, and you know, he always used to speak the perfect English.
Absolutely.
But this time, he just burst out into pat when he went, "We'll make you not go be a magistrate." And I went, and he went, because she always got something to say. And I was like, in those days, that would be classed as being on the other side. You just wouldn't be because I've been a magistrate now for over 20 years. Wow. So you just wouldn't be a magistrate because, my God, how are your peers going to see you and the people in the community, how are they going to view you? And I spoke to him, and I've got another friend who's a magistrate as well, and I asked her what it was like. And she just says, well, the only way you can change a system is by being within it. Yeah. And she says, if you're seeing all these injustices and you're mixing with people who have had negative experience with the judicial system, yeah, be part of it and see if you could change it from the inside instead of making noise on the outside. So I went and I applied, and I thought they wouldn't accept me because they look at your, not just your history, but maybe family history. And on one side of my family, it's not brilliant. So I thought that was going to exclude me, but it didn't. And that's how I became a magistrate. It's not easy. People say, do you enjoy it? No, because there's still a lot of, I'd say prejudice, but, and I don't know whether it's based on outright racism or just lack of knowledge, so it's ignorance, but there's still a lot of unknown, and race isn't taught within the whole training. So that's something I'd like to look at to see whether it could be mandatory in the training. But yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah, so you're still doing that work now? You're still on the board now as a magistrate?
Yeah, I'm a magistrate. They've changed things, so you're no longer just a Leeds Magistrate. You're a region, which is West Yorkshire region. Right. So they can ask you to sit in different courts, but I predominantly sit in Leeds.
Wow. Okay.
And I just do criminal. I don't do family or drugs. I just do adult crime.
Right. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. Well, you know, I used to be a police officer.
I do. I remember that well.
So, wow, that would have been an experience to.
Close friends, one being a police officer and one being a magistrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah, really, yeah, I think that's brilliant. That. So you're still doing that work now. So what you know, like you're doing quite a few different charity works at the moment. What made you get into, you know, putting yourself forward to do all this charity work? What you're doing? Because you're doing. Go, you tell us.
I think again because I don't like seeing inequality and inequities, and in the private sector it's harder to change, whereas in the third sector or the charitable sector, you can have almost an instantaneous, if you can say that, result through working, whereas you won't be able to get that in the private sector. Private sector is driven by money or for money, for profit. The charitable sector is more a feeling sector, so it's looking at people's health and well-being. And for me, health covers a multitude of things. You know, housing can affect your health, yeah. Music affects your health. You know, the list can go on. And it's not just your physical health, it's your mental health and well-being as well, which within, I believe, the Black community, we have excluded our mental health a lot. Yeah. And it's only recent years that we're beginning to understand that when we say we're fed up, we might actually be becoming depressed. Yeah. You know, when you say you don't feel like going outside, you might be anxious for a reason, yeah. But because we use different language, yeah. You know, we don't recognize it as mental ill health. Yeah. I often say, and those who work with me, something that happens one day, I can just bite off and it's not a problem. Let the same thing happen the next week, and I might not be able to cope with it because my mental health just isn't there and able to deal with it. And, you know, we need to stop looking at mental ill health as a taboo because we all go through it at different stages. So, you know, things like that. And then knowing that we get a lesser than service when it comes onto mental ill health, that gets me. And so when I look at stats that say, you know, Black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth, Black women are more likely to get breast cancer at 20 years younger than, you know, her white counterparts. Mental health, when it comes on to incarceration or being sectioned, you know, we're at a higher rate. Yeah. All of those, we've been here too long for those still to be ongoing. Exactly. So it's about, that's what keeps me going in the charitable sector, because if you look on my Twitter account, I'm always going, well, that's not good enough. You know, when we had the whole Black Lives Matter thing and people are putting out statements, and I'm like, okay, your gesture is good, but what action are you going to put behind that? You know, and, you know, no one can say BHI is only just jumping on the bandwagon. We've been looking at Black lives for ages. And I'm glad now that people are seeing that there are gaps. And, you know, all COVID has done is put a spotlight on the disparities that we have as Black people here in the UK. I know they say, oh, the US, well, let's look at the UK because this is where we live. Yeah. There's an awful lot that we have to do to make sure that our lives matter before taking on anybody else's. So that's the drive, and that's what put me onto Black Music Festival. Because
yes, we're going to come on to that. Let me just pause you there for a minute. Let's just go back to this mental health. You know, so why is it where us as Black people, why are we not putting our hands up and saying, you know, it is mental health? Why is it such a taboo? Why are we keeping quiet about it?
I think, again, like I said, our language, we don't always recognize certain things. It's like, for instance, dementia. Back in the day, people say, she always forgetting, man. You know, when an older aunt used to come and you'd tell her something and she'd forget. And it's like, oh, she's just forgetting. When really memory losses can be one of the first stages of dementia.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with other mental health illnesses. You know, we don't recognize it. And when we do, a lot of us back in the day didn't understand it. So because we didn't understand it, it was a taboo, it was a stigma. I even heard some people saying, oh, it's a badness of the parents that catch the child. And, you know, you hear different things, and I don't care what anybody says, it sticks within your head. So until you educate yourself about things, you're always going to be misinformed.
Yeah.
I think now that more people are going through mental health issues, they are recognizing that you can go through that. It is an illness.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you don't see a bandage, but you know, it's an illness and you can come through it at the other end.
Yeah.
And I think there's less stigma to it now than they were, even I think 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, you know, for me, I've heard people talk about it and they're like, I think they're scared. They're scared to admit, you know, they've got mental health. I mean, for me, I've never really thought about my mental health. And what really opened my eyes to it was COVID-19, you know, being here by myself. And one day I was fine. Like you said earlier, you know, one day you can do with things and the next day you can't. And that's what it was like with me. And it really did play a part on my mental health. And then I was finding out about mental health and thinking, yeah, I do feel really anxious. And I thought, how can I deal with this? So I think people, you know, need to talk about it and don't be shy and don't be scared. Just express yourself, you know. And for what I started doing was writing down how I was feeling and doing a lot of journaling, and that really just to clear the clutter, what was going on in my head, that really helps a lot. So
I think you're right. It's how once we understand it, is then know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But we have to accept that it happens. And there's just a part I want to just say is that all of us have mental health. Yeah. It's whether it's mental good health right now or mental ill health.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of us can go through both of them at either time, and at varying degrees. So, you know, there is no need to be, to have a stigma. I do understand that, you know, we're still very private people, and we don't talk a lot, but choose someone or somehow, like you said, you journal a lot, or use a service that's specific to you. BHI has a service and nobody can say that, you know, a lot of people at first were like, well, I'm not going in there because I don't want people to know my business. Nobody's ever known anybody who's come in to say, okay, they went in there for counselling, because it's not for us to say. You know, and again, as a Black charity, we get scrutinised more than, say, our white counterparts. So of course, we're definitely not going to breach confidentiality. So I would say to people, use a service. We've got one now just called Befriending, and literally it's Black men that are using it.
Wow.
Not, and it's just other Black guys just saying, hi, how you doing? Nothing that you think out of the ordinary. Just to call, how you doing, what you're doing, oh, I'm doing this, that, and it's just having someone who's checking in on you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that is so helpful. You know, that is so helpful, because I know I was doing it. I was checking in on my sons, how you doing and whatever, and just keeping that contact, because, you know, COVID-19, nobody's ever gone through it. This is the first time this has ever happened in our lifetime, you know, so it's like we need to talk more and express ourselves. But yes, some people are private and don't want to, you know, be pointed at or whatever, but yeah, I think people need to talk more. So no, that's brilliant. So also, and one of the things, I was going on to mental health, COVID-19. So Heather, I know that you're doing a lot of work throughout COVID-19, where you was working with different communities and cooking food. And so how was that? Tell us about that.
Well, everyone has their own views on COVID-19. I know I have my personal views, but when they decided to do a lockdown, people suddenly started to say, oh, well, we will do emergency bags and deliver them to people. But then we said, what about those who cannot make their own meals? Those who are going out to luncheon clubs, etc. So in March, straight away, we stopped doing the luncheon club and started making meals, hot meals, and delivering them. And we started off with delivering about 20 meals, which were people who were coming to the luncheon club initially. So 20 meals, that was 40 for the 2 days, that was fine. And then it started growing. And so we put out a GoFundMe page, which, to be fair, didn't do that well, to be honest. But at the same time, Martin Lewis had brought out a funding stream, and we put it in. You just had to write what you wanted to do, and we did. And we got some money, and we now are delivering over those 2 days 140 meals. So they've gone up. And predominantly it's the Black people in the various places that they live. But we have a number of Jewish people, white Irish, white Scottish. And trust me, when we say to them, we ring them up the day before and say, do you want a meal? And we'll say, it's Caribbean soup. They go, oh, lovely, that round thing that you give us. And it's a dumpling, say, oh, do you know that yellow thing? I'm like, yellow thing? Oh, yam, yellow yam. And they haven't got a clue what they're eating, but they love it. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. So yeah, and that now it's called support our seniors, and that's now gone out to not just the meals that are going out. We're working with Lorena Gums, who is part of the Anonymous crew, to do some headbands. So and people, it's not just making the headbands, it's helping them with the fine motor skills, of the creativity, still linking them to the community, because they're still not going out because they're very anxious. So it's kind of just, everything's just growing from there. So I'm really pleased with how we've hit the ground running, because now there's other projects that are cooking meals and delivering, etc., which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Amazing thing. It would have been nice, for more people, I suppose, to get on board and doing it. So did you get a lot of people who was volunteering themselves and donations? How?
The monetary donations were disappointing, but my experience with our community is that they're not quick to donate financially. And that could be a number of reasons. It could be because we are not as affluent as some other communities, or a misconception that we as in charities will always get money to do things. So I'm not sure what that is. However, the physical support we got from the public, from our community, was unbelievable. The people who volunteered to deliver, the people who volunteered to just come in and ring people and check in on them, the people who will go out and when it was sunny would speak to the people, not just deliver, but speak to them in the gardens. And when people say Black people can't work together, that's not true.
Well, no.
It really isn't. And where BHI is living testimony of that I'm still overwhelmed in how helpful that a lot of the people, and some of them were from the Black Business Group, who came and just said, right, what can we do? And even now, even though they've gone back to work, are still saying, what can we do? How can we help? So yeah, fantastic support.
Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant, amazing. And I bet, it would have been, for those people who were receiving the food, they'd be really happy, because they might not see anybody throughout the day and they're having contact with this person. So what that does for them, that would be amazing in itself. So fantastic work.
You hit the nail on the head there, Lesleye. What's happened as well is some of the people who are delivering, actually those who were receiving the food knew them when they were younger.
Right.
So some people, you can usually do the deliveries in like an hour and a half, but when our older people start and it's like they're coming back with the trays, the drivers are like, why are you 2 hours late? Well, I went to so and it's just like, oh right, okay. So they're reconnecting with people that they've not seen for years. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic work. And I know it's been so hard, COVID-19, And still really hard at the moment, not being able to go and see family and friends and that. So have you been able to, you know, still have contact with your family and friends?
I think with my friends, because we're all of the same era, we do our virtual meetings anyway, or we had been doing our virtual meetings, so it wasn't a problem. My mum, well, boy, she always lock up anyway, so she's fine. And as for my son, I see him on social media so that I know that he's still okay, you know, kind of thing. But like I said, I have my personal views in regards to the whole lockdown and COVID-19 issue.
And are you willing to share your personal views with us?
Well, put it this way, it doesn't always go hand in hand in what we're being told. I just don't see how, yeah, you know, there's people dying from, you know, flu every year that has surpassed this I nearly called it what I normally call it, which is a pandemic, but pandemic, right? and I just wonder, and then looking at how this vaccination's been pushed, and who it's been pushed on without even being tested yet, and that's why I say a battle, because, you know, I know they're saying Black Asians are going to be the first that they want to test it on, and I'm like, well, how come at the very beginning we have the lower count and now we've got the highest? And you're saying, well, it's because we've died at a higher rate, but that's because we do the jobs that put us most at risk. So let's have a look at that rather than start vaccinating. I could go on for ages with my views, so, you know, but yeah, suffice to say.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of question marks over COVID-19. Yeah, there is. So Carnival. What's happened to Carnival? And what's happened to, no Black Music Festival? Because, yes, so talk to us about Black Music Festival. Let's hear about that.
Okay, so like other outdoor festivals and events, Black Music Festival's cancelled this year. We are going to be live streaming. We deliberately didn't do it in August because, well, we're just taking into consideration that there was other events that were going to be taking place. So we will be live streaming an event in October, the end of October. We're just putting together the, what do they call it? See, I'm losing my words. Putting together the name of people the artists that are going to come on board. Yeah, it's grown. It's grown from when we took it over from the previous organisers, who had then called it the reggae concert. And last year, which was a phenomenal year, West Yorkshire Police said we had over 80,000 in the park, but you were in the park as well. You actually were backstage, weren't you, with us? So, you know, you would feel the vibe that we have backstage as well in the VIP unit, where, you know, the food's there, the drink's there, it's just a party atmosphere. But that's the culmination of all the hard work months ahead, you know, kind of stuff, and the headaches of artists either coming, not coming, getting the plane, missing the plane, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's hard work at the run up to it, I swear. But, you know, again, phenomenal team, you know, and the team are a team of sessional workers as well as volunteers who give up their bank holiday every year to make sure we do something better than we did the previous year. And we will always aim to please, and we renamed it Black Music Festival because we, like last year, we had Donny, you know, we don't just do reggae. We then had a woman from Trinidad who came with her enormous carnival masquerader costumes. We want to incorporate everything that is Black music on that stage, which is not easy because it's a free event, so we don't make any money with people coming to it. And the money that we get from the local authority is the same that was given out apparently 15 years ago. So, you know, exactly. So that money in essence has been cut each year because it's not going up. So we're fortunate that we've been making links and sponsors and getting, you know, mates rates, etc. But yeah, Yeah, I'm pleased with it, because out of that has been born Raise the Roof and Salute to Reggae.
Yeah, no, and yes, Salute to Reggae. Yeah, that was brilliant as well last year. Yeah, so you know, you've done all this work. How do you keep going? How do you keep moving forward to do it? Do you know what I mean? It's just.
I think if I didn't, Lesleye, if I didn't keep going, I'd probably expire totally, because I'm so used to kind of keep going. But also, people are saying, well, where do you get the ideas from? You know, maybe I'm just blessed. That's one of my blessings, because I'll sit there thinking, oh, there's a gap here, let's do this. Oh, there's a gap there, we could do that. And, you know, it's through doing that keeps BHI afloat and keeps me going, and actually make sure that we can have employment for our own people as well.
Yeah, no, which is brilliant. And then comes the Legacy Awards. Wow. I mean, what gave you that inspiration to do that?
Right, if I'm honest, it was a celebration. It started off as C50 because it was a celebration of Caribbeans coming to Leeds. And there was going to be the celebration, the 50th year of Carnival.
Yeah.
And we were like, I come from an island where Carnival wasn't so prominent. You know, Jamaican people didn't really have, I mean, they do now, but back in the day, we were reggae people, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, that's Carnival. What about the islands that don't really celebrate that? And what about people who are not connected to that, but did some fantastic things? So to be honest, I sat down and I spoke with Claude, otherwise known as Hopper. And, and he was a guest of yours, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, he was.
He was going to do the sound system side of it. And we said, okay, we will do the positive impact side of it. And Leeds said, right, you can have the town hall for free. And I'm like, yay! Wow. And that's how Legacy came about, because we did it the first year. And I was amazed at how many people dressed up and came. And then Leeds said to us, well, do you want to do that next year? And I'm like, oh, okay. So we did it the following year. And then after that, they said, why don't you just do it as an annual event? And I'm like, okay, we'll support you by, you know, the venue, either, you know, giving it as a reduced rate or free. And last year, I was well pleased with it. It looked like a whole different event. If you look on the website, it just looks fantastic.
It looks amazing. Amazing.
And then, now we've got some really good executive members from ITV, from BBC, prominent people from Leeds and influencers. And the sponsors have been brilliant as well. And I think that's because we don't have anything like that in the north. You know, it's all down south where you can dress up and celebrate your blackness.
Exactly.
But how do we celebrate our blackness up here in the north? You know, so as long as we can, and as long as, you know, we have interest from our people, because I've got lots of interest from outside, but, you know, as long as we're still recognizing people who are from our community or who have supported our community. Because I know some people, when they've seen some of the awards go out and some of the recipients have said, yeah, but they're not black. No, but they've done a hell of a lot of work for the black community and helped to either inspire us or develop us. And that's why, you know, and we've got the nominations out. So people out there, please nominate people. But it doesn't go by how many nominations you get. It's the quality of your nomination. Because some people are more popular than others. You know, you could have a footballer who could get thousands of nominations. But in essence, we're looking at the quality. So don't just say, I think Lesleye Connolly should get this because she's brilliant. Why is she brilliant? What has she done? So get your nominations in, folks.
No, that sounds amazing. And I know it's, well, you're not having the actual event then, or you're doing it, how are you doing the event then this year?
Oh, Lesleye, what a pain. Just because it looked like the pandemic, COVID, the lockdown was easing. So we said, okay, we know about social isolation and distancing, so we'll still have the event in the town hall, but we'll reduce the numbers. It's looking now, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed and praying that it doesn't happen, that the lockdown will happen. And I'm hoping it will, I'm so selfish, I'm hoping the lockdown will happen after the 18th of October, not before. But we're going to be live streaming it anyway. We've been fortunate to have a really good company who's sponsored our whole image. And then we've got some who are interested in actually sponsoring the live streaming.
Right.
All I can say is we got blessed, because these people have come to us and said, can we be involved? And we're like, oh my God, that's just saved us 20 grand. So yeah, so we'll be live streaming for definite. And if the lockdown doesn't change, then we'll definitely be having something in the town hall, reduced numbers. And so the tickets, I know, will fly very quickly once we announce that they're for sale.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, wow. It sounds fantastic. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that
I'm praying.
you're able to go ahead with that. I wanted to come last year, but I wasn't able because I can't remember what was happening. Was it in October last year?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Who was the host?
We had two. We had Natalie from Emmerdale, and we had the Dark Destroyer, Sean Wallace.
Yes, Sean.
Yeah. It was really brilliant. Apart from him telling me off because he said my grammar was atrocious. Because you have to write the script, right, for them to speak from. And he looked at it and he went, who wrote this? And I was like, I did. And he went, your grammar's atrocious. And I'm like, oh, thanks. But he was so down to earth, and yeah, he was just, I mean, you could see it, the dancing on the stage, and they themselves were just enjoying themselves. To the point where they're saying, you know, can we have a VIP ticket this year? I'm like, no. No. We've got bills to pay, you know, kind of thing. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, that'll be really good. That'll be something to look forward to if it goes ahead. So what's next then for Heather? You know, where do you see yourself? The question is, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Do you know, I was asked this question on a webinar the other day, and I said, I've stopped trying to look at where I'm going to be in the next 5 years, because I didn't think I would be in a lockdown situation in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's about surviving. It's about making sure I've got all my eggs, or is it eggs or ducks? All my ducks lined up. It's ducks, isn't it? All my ducks, not eggs. All my eggs in one basket. Right. All my ducks lined up, because I think one thing this has shown me is that I did take life for granted. You know, I did take it that I was going to have a vacation, and it was only a case of where was I going to go. Yeah. You know, I took for granted that, you know, Black Music Festival was going to happen, then it didn't. I took for granted that I'll always see my friends, and that's not the case. I think so for me, I'll take opportunities that will help me grow. I will align myself with people that will support me with growth, because that's something else that this has taught me, that I had given too much energy to those who were very negative, or for those who were unsupportive, and almost to the point of thinking I had to be around them. Now I'm just like, no. If people thought I was dismissive before, then my God. Because it's made me realize and value those who've actually shown me that they're genuinely here for me. And just because you're here for me doesn't mean we don't disagree, because we do. But it's knowing that you want the best for me and I want the best for you. So yeah, in the next 5 years, surrounded by really positive people, instilling that in perhaps those who are asking me to mentor and coach, that, you know, you be you, get up and be you, do not second guess yourself. Just a quickie, yesterday there was a fantastic market called Mahogany Market for the Black Pound Day. And it was down at a place called Our Place. And there was a young girl there, I forget, I think her name is Kadisha. She does some earrings anyway. And I was walking through and she just said, sorry, are you from BHN? I went, yeah. She went, I need to thank you and your staff. And I said, why? And she said, you came to Carmanor School and you were telling us, teaching us about sexual health. And I just wanted a baby. I just wanted to leave school, have a baby, have my flat, and I'd have been happy because I loved my boyfriend at the time. And she said, look at me now. She goes to Manchester University and she runs her own business. Mm-hmm. And she said, I wouldn't have done that if BHI hadn't come to my school and spoke to me about it. And I went, can I use your story? That's why I couldn't say her name. And she said, yeah, of course you can. And I went, I'm really proud of you. And if we can develop our young like that, then that for me is all I need to be focusing on for the next 5 years, making sure the next generation have got hope.
Yeah, no, that is so true, because my next question was, when the government is saying that, go online and you can get everything online, but then what about those people who can't go online? What about those people who haven't got the internet and are not able to do that? How can we help those people within the community, who haven't got those things?
It was, for me, there was somebody, I think it was Pat Walters, who received an award from Legacy. And she said something about when we each climb the ladder, turn back and put your hand behind and pull somebody up.
I like that.
And I think there's somebody else who's quite famous who said the same thing. And for me, that's what needs to happen. Now that not everybody may have access to the internet, what we need to do is position ourselves so that those who want to reach out to us can.
Yes. And
we in turn can support them. Yeah. Again, it goes back to, mental health as well.
Yeah.
And I think, this period is very isolating, or can be very isolating. And it's a time of reflection. And I think I would hope, and I'm lucky to be surrounded by people who do this, that they will support others and give them their wisdom, their knowledge, so that they too can have aspirations to rise up. And so the internet, it's brilliant. Social media is brilliant, but only if you use those tools in the right way.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Next week, I've got a guest coming on the show, and we're talking all about social media from a young adult's age, so that's going to be quite interesting actually to hear her views. So have you thought, Heather, because one of the things what came to mind for me when I was reading your bio and just looking at all the amazing work you've done and the world we're living in at the moment, have you thought about running for Prime Minister of the country?
You idiot. Yeah, right. Have a good Prime Minister. Listen, I wouldn't even run to be a councillor now. No. I'll probably get one vote, maybe two. My mum and my mum and my son.
Three then, I vote.
No. For me, I want to use my influence, if I have any, sat around those tables, strategic tables that are usually full with white men in grey suits, and changing their perception and their knowledge about the Black community, about equality, looking at our health, and looking at how you include us without seeing us as an add-on in everything that you do. And that's where I believe my influence will be and has been to date. And I hope it's making a change. I think for me, what COVID has done has probably made me a bit more radical, because before I used to walk within their lanes and use their rules to kind of batter them with. Now I'm like, okay, I've had enough now. I've been doing this for 20 years and it's not changing fast enough. People are still dying, getting misdiagnosed, being ignored, not getting the same access to services. This is what needs to be done. And, to be honest and to be fair, they're sitting up and listening. I think it's because they're thinking, oh, freaking hell, she's not messing now. You know what I mean? Oh, did I swear on YouTube? I didn't, did I? Never mind. Anyway, they probably think, hey, she's not messing now. And I'm not. It's like, and maybe it might be, older people, when you can't control them, they don't have a gauge because they're old now and they can say, well, I think I'm getting to that age where I'm like, oh no, I'm not sitting here with this politeness. This needs to be done. And so, yeah, and I'm lucky enough to be able to go in those rooms and to have these people start sitting up and listening. And I don't think it's not just me, it's about what's been happening in the world as well. And if you're talking about Black Lives Matter, then let's see show us how it matters. Change your policies and procedures, be more inclusive, be anti-racist, don't just think, well, I'm not racist. You know, be active. I had this woman on Twitter asking me how to be an ally. I don't know whether I like that term ally, but I suppose if you're in war, then you need your allies, right? And I was telling her things, and straight away she's opened a couple of doors for me and said, right, Heaven, this is happening, that is happening, come in with me. And I'm like, brilliant. Let's make that change. Let's be the change that we want to see. And that's my influence. Never mind Prime Minister, they'll kill me after a week. Can't hear. Can't hear. You're very faint. I can lip read. You just said, is that better? But talk again. Very faint. If you continue, I can go ahead. Who what? My superhero. Oh, okay, let me think. Oh my gosh, do I have to have one? I've got a whole heap. Okay, well, I've got a whole heap because, you know, they always say it takes a village to raise a child. So I'm thinking, obviously, I don't know, my granddad is first and foremost. Those in the spotlight who have used their influence to make change. And again, this may sound very cliche, but I hope I've learned something from Chadwick Boseman. Is it Boseman? In the fact that he battled with dignity. And I know some people said, well, he should have told what was going on. No, you need some of your own private life. But the impact, when you see how many people are mourning his death, how many children are mourning his death, now that is somebody who's a true superhero. And again, it sounds very cliche, but I actually really, really mean it. And, you know, there's other Black actors and actresses who do for their community and don't shout about it, and people are very quick to criticize. And I would like, I think, I'm just trying to answer your question. I think...
Have I come back now? Have I?
Yeah, right. It's a good job I can lip read, isn't it?
Because, go on.
That was my superhero. That was my superhero power, and now everybody knows I can lip read. So when they're pushing me, not good. Yeah, I mean, from my mum, who for me brought up my sister and I, and you know, was fantastic. To well-known people, there's an array of superheroes. And you know, people in our history like Nanny Maroon. Again, people, if you don't know her, please go look her up. Yeah. She's a superhero, an unspoken hero. And there's lots of individuals who have gone through things. And as I read more, I learn more, and then I get more superheroes. So when you ask me things like that, I'm like, gosh, I don't know.
So many.
But so many. So yeah, an awful lot. It truly is a village that's impacted on me.
Yeah, no, I get that, because I don't know what happened with my mic then, but yeah, I was going to say my superhero is, well, one of my superheroes, because like you, I've got many, and one of them is Nelson Mandela. I just think he's been a real inspiration. And Maya Angelou, I think her work is just so inspiring and really has inspired me. And being dyslexic, I always struggle, you know, and I always struggled with reading, but I also enjoyed her poems because it was just, they were easier to read. But dyslexia, I'm not using that as a barrier anymore, because I use it like, oh, I can't do anything because I'm dyslexic. No, not doing that anymore. I'm jumping over that barrier and saying, yes, I can do this. Just like your motto, what you said.
The thing is, a lot of us have barriers. For instance, you know, when I first lost the sight in my right eye, because people say, what happened to you? I got hit in the eye with a ball and lost the sight. And some people said, oh, you won't be able to drive and you won't be able to do this. And I always said, yeah, I can. That's what, and like I always say, and like you've just said, yes, I can. But it's funny you talked about Maya Angelou, because my handles on social media platform is Dawn Rising. My middle name's Dawn. Yes. But Maya Angelou says, still I rise. And that's where I've got it from. I put the two together and just put Dawn Rising. Right. Every morning it's a new rising, it's a new day, and it's a new opportunity. Yeah, I like that. And yeah, I love I didn't know that about your eye. I didn't know that you was hit. So how old was you? 13. Wow. 13. Okay. And you haven't let that hold you back at all? No. And you know, people can be very cruel. Even adults to this day can be very cruel. You know, but for me, I'm like, okay, you call me what you want, but you're behind me. Exactly. So while you're talking about me, I'm just forging ahead, you know, and I use this for other young children or teenagers who think they have an issue that will hold them back. I'm like, no, let that be a driving force. Yes, yes. Despite that, you can do this. Yes. Let them who want to talk and call your names, let them stand behind you, love. Yes, yes. There's my bit of Jamaican coming out. Yeah, yeah, and that is so true. You know, like Karen Crew, she's working with young people at school. She's doing some absolutely fantastic work, and you know, she's saying every child has got something special, and that is so true. You know, because you know, being dyslexic, I thought I wasn't worthy. I wasn't worthy. You know, and then being told that you're not worthy, but now I'm worthy. I am blessed, and I can achieve anything I want to achieve in my life, and I'm moving forward to grab them all as much as I can. Good for you. Excellent. But yeah, no, it's brilliant. But no, Heather, it's been brilliant talking to you. Oh my goodness. And I'm like thinking, I've gone through all my questions, but I want to ask you. So when all this is, well, I was going to say get back to the norm, but what is the normal? I don't know. Where are you going to go? Where's your first trip away? Where's your next holiday? Jesus. Oh my goodness. I don't know. I mean, my last trip was to Barbados and absolutely loved it. But I haven't been back to Jamaica in a long time. Having said that, I was due to go to, oh, for goodness sake, what's it called? Near India. Oh my gosh, it's gone out of my head. Oh, Sri Lanka? No. Near India. Oh, for goodness sake, it's at the bottom. Oh, God. Oh, Goa. Goa, thank you. Goa. I was supposed to go to Goa this month, but obviously it's not. So maybe go to Goa next. That might be my first trip. You will love Goa. Really? I've been to Goa. I went for the New Year a couple of years ago now, and it was absolutely amazing. And went to Taj Mahal. Okay. Sat down where Princess Diana sat, and it was just the whole holiday. It was wow. It was an experience. So yeah, you'll love it. I fancy. I love my Caribbean islands. That's why I always have a Caribbean island, and then I do something else as well. So in essence, end up with two. But yeah, I think I might still put Goa on there, and because I want to just relax, and the food looks gorgeous because I love seafood. And I just wanna go and chill and have my massages and get pampered, and oh my gosh, in fact you shouldn't have asked me that question, because now I'm like, hurry up.
No, well, I totally get that, because it's like I love to have my holidays, and I like to have at least 2 a year, and you know, I haven't done anything this year, so which is fine. It's all good. So the last question, I know that was meant to be your last question. Where are you going to go on holiday? But so is that what you like to do when you're not working? And you know, oh yeah, one question I wanted to ask you. Sorry, I've just bypassed it. You know, now that we're doing virtual, how do you find it with work? How do you find all that?
I find virtual meetings to be the most draining meetings going. One, because you can't really hide, everyone can see your face, and I'm very visual. So if you're boring me, I'm out, for God's sake. But now I've learned that you just turn off your camera. You just turn off your camera, go make yourself a cup of tea or hot water, and come back. And to be honest, other than those virtual meetings, BHI has very much had to operate the same as always, because we are servicing the most vulnerable in our community. So for the first time in I don't know how long, we actually shut the office for a week last week. And it felt alien to me. I was still working at home on the computer and stuff, but it's I think what this kind of working has taught us is we can time manage better. We don't need to be at the beck and call all the time. And to be more efficient with our time. The flip side of that, though, is that people expect you to answer your emails all the time because you're supposed to be at home. And also you can't say I'm stuck in traffic when it comes to meetings because it's virtual.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Exactly. So let's leave our viewers with a positive affirmation. What would your affirmation be?
You can be anything and do anything that you choose to be. And as Black people, there are examples of how we are resilient, how we are intelligent, and how we've overcome. It's unfortunate, but we definitely have to draw on those resiliences and to move forward so that the next generation will not be in the same place that we are right now. So when people say can't, yes, you can.
I love that. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Heather. I honestly, you know me, I could chat for ages. You know what I mean?
You and me.
Yeah, exactly. So, Heather, I'm going to say bye to our viewers. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope you got some pointers out there to like move on. Don't be scared to keep going forward, because you, like Heather said, you can do anything you want to do. I will see you all next week, Sunday, same time, with a new guest. We're going to be talking social media. So that's going to be quite interesting, actually, to hear her views. But Heather, stay right there. Let's just say bye, everyone. And thank you so much.